Welcome to the final part of Let's Play Mega Man as we travel through what's probably the shortest stage in Mega Man history. It's like 4 rooms, a hallway that plays itself, and a boss. Also, I think we're currently traveling through the Wily sewers. You will see why I think that in a minute. But yeah, we're almost at the end, just 2 more stages to go, so I say, fuck it! Thunder beam everywhere! Though usually I'm not really one to abuse the most useful and powerful weapon in the game. Metal Blades Mega Man 2. And those were those few rooms. Now we just have this really long hallway, and if you wait a few seconds we'll see that the water pushes us forward, so we barely even have to walk. So there will be enemies flying at us, so shoot once in a while and you'll be fine. Now's also the time to bring up something I forgot to mention in Iceman stage, that the water does nothing. Well, on this stage it pushes you forward, but in Iceman stage it didn't really do anything and was just there for cosmetic purposes, I guess. In Mega Man 2 we'll have water physics, but not here. I'll just get this out of the way now. Start with Mega Man 2. Most people think it's the best in the series, and while I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that, it's definitely not my favorite in the series, I do think it's the best one to start the Mega Man series with. It changes some minor things from Mega Man 1, and it pretty much introduces the formula that the rest of the entire series will stick with. And I just think it has the best difficulty curve. Along with that, it also has a easy mode option, if you're not playing the Japanese version, that is. So start with Mega Man 2 if you can. But we are now coming up to the boss of this level, or should I say bosses? Well, not really, you only fight one at a time and they all share 1 health bar. But it is technically made out of multiple mini-bosses. Basically, a giant bubble will come in and it just sort of moves around, not really doing anything. Just shoot at it and it will pop eventually. And when you kill that one, a new one will come in and it will be slightly faster. Kill that one again and another one will come in that is also slightly faster than the one before. Then again and faster until you've killed all 7 of them. Now there are blocks in the middle which you might be able to use to avoid them, but if you're like me you just pick them up with the super arm and throw it at them. A single block can kill a single bubble in 1 hit, however there are only 4 blocks and 7 mini bosses. And since the later ones are harder to defeat because they're faster, I recommend killing the first 3 normally and then use the blocks to kill the final 4 all in 1 hit. That's what I find to be the easiest way to defeat this boss. Also, each bubble's pretty big, so you don't have to worry about missing throwing the block. By the way, don't die during this boss, because if you do and you already threw the blocks, that means you're gonna have to fight the boss without any of the blocks, because they don't respawn for some reason. They do respawn after you get a game over, but not after dying. But unless you're out of super arm or lost a lot of health in the room before, which is unlikely because the enemies there also drop a lot of health, then that boss is nothing to worry about dying. I mean, you've defeated the Yellow Devil to get here, so should be no problem. Now all there's left to do is to get through this final level and Golden Gutsman in the ceiling. That's okay. Speaking of Gutsman, that's still the one final robot master in this game I have to defeat without using his weakness to meet my personal quota. Well, I don't feel like being ominous, I'll just say flat out loud, we still have to refight the rest of the robot masters before we can get to Wily. Except of course Gutman and Elecman, because we already fought those a 2nd time. And thank God, because I wouldn't fight all of the robot masters in a row, including Elecman. Ugh. But before we enter that teleporter, we have to pick up a very special item. This is the Yasaishi, an item that only appears in Mega Man 1 until easy mode of Mega Man 10, and it reveals all of your health and weapon energy. Which is pretty useful if we're gonna have to fight all the robot masters in a row. It also appears in several other Capcom games, though I'm not sure where and why. First in the lineup, Bomb Man. I already defeated you without your weakness, so I'm gonna use the Firestorm and see what that does to him. Murder him, that's what. By the way, something that I should have mentioned way before is that even after you kill the Robot Master, their weapon can still be on screen and it can still hit you, and if you're at low health it can still kill you, so you can technically die after already defeating the boss. That actually did happen to me once during test recording, and let's just say I was frustrated. Oh, was that Fireman I missed? I'm sorry he died so fast. Next up, Iceman. I'm not entirely sure about this, but I did hear that his projectiles and his firing speed actually get faster the lower health he has. I'm not sure how true that is, but it's something. And finally, Gutsman, a robot master I actually find easier to defeat without using his weakness, because, you guessed it, the hyper bomb is still fucking useless. Which is why I used the weakness the first time, so I can do it without the weakness here. Special exception, because usually I prefer to save the weakness for when the boss rush happens. This one and Cutman, because Cutman I can't use his weakness when the boss rush happens. And remember, starting Mega Man 2, you'll fight all of the Robot Masters in a row, instead of just taking 2 of them out and throwing in some other random level. But that's it, they're all dead. Again, so now it's just taking on Wily and we can finish this game. Spoilers, the final boss is split into 2 phases. Spoilers, I died to the second phase and have to retry. Luckily you can defeat the first phase in all of 10 seconds or less. Well, when you use the Firestorm, I never actually attempted this without using the weaknesses, but he dies really fast to the Firestorm, at least the first phase. Between the first and second phase, the boss pretty much moves the same, back and forward, just the projectiles will change. These one go up and then they go down, like little bouncy balls I guess. But now for the second phase, the projectile becomes a bit slower and only shoots 1 at a time, but it's a lot bigger, it does a lot more damage, and it goes in a circular pattern that can be either really hard to avoid or really easy to avoid. To be honest, even at low health I should have been able to defeat this boss without dying. I'm just having a bad day, I guess. I fail. Boo-hoo. It's really not a hard final boss. Again, at this point we've already beaten the Yellow Devil, and even then it's still not really a hard final boss compared to other bosses in the series. Hi, I'm back. Okay, let's try this again. Any minute now. Any minute. Okay, there we go. First phase we use the Firestorm. Once again, it's really easy, though not as easy as the first phase of the Wily Machine in Mega Man 4. That was just pathetic. And for the second phase you can either use the Thunder Beam, which will always hit him twice in a row, or the Rolling Cutter, which can hit him 3 times in a row if you aim it correctly. Most people would prefer to use the Thunder Beam, but I've already used that way too much throughout this playthrough, so Rolling Cutter it is. Well, I'm having a really bad day with avoiding these swirly projectile things. Normally I'm better at this. And once again, they're either really hard or really easy to avoid. And he's dead! Well, he's alive, but the machine is dead. Do machines really die? Do robots dream of electric sheep? Well, we don't find out until Mega Man 10. But that's not until way later. For now, Wily is defeated and we can safely walk home. In just a moment we're gonna hear the ending theme, and I don't care about the points game! As I was saying, we're gonna hear this ending theme, which is actually the intro theme of Mega Man 2. So, my final thoughts. As I said before, you should really just begin with Mega Man 2, but along with that you should also just play Mega Man 1 last. Or at least only after you've had plenty of experience with all the other 8-bit titles. This one is definitely up there with being one of the hardest of the classic series, and half of that is not because of good reasons. Fight Mega Man for everlasting peace. It's mostly hard because it's just old and archaic. But if you have fun with the other games and can sit through some of the kind of bullshit parts of this game, I still think you can have a fun time with this, depending on your own tolerance. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Mega Man 1. Now we're just gonna run home, we're gonna see Dr. Light and Roll for the only time in the game outside of the manual, and I leave you with this final bit of trivia. This design of Mega Man that you're gonna see right here is based on Astro Boy. Have a great night.